The war is over. Nazi Germany's Third Reich has fallen. Those responsible for the Holocaust's worst crimes are fleeing. And help appears to come from a sinister organization set up to ensure the rise of a new empire. A Fourth Reich. The name of this organization: Odessa. Germany was in chaos. The Nazi Party had crumbled. The SS, Hitler's elite paramilitary unit, 1 million strong, were hunted. But they were difficult to track, and many escaped capture. Many believe a shadowy group known as the Organization of Former SS Members, or Odessa, helped them evade justice. This powerful unit had a sinister mission: to help SS members escape, to carry out Hitler's vision. Their goal? To create a Fourth Reich, a totalitarian regime of Aryan supremacy on a worldwide scale. This organization was first uncovered by famed Nazi hunter Simon Wiesenthal.
There was a period immediately after the Second World War when British and American organizations did pursue the Nazis with some rigor, but then that dropped off. So it was in the interest of Nazi hunters like Wiesenthal to make sure that the West took an interest in pursuing Nazi criminals.
It was later made public by novelist Frederick Forsyth for his bestseller, The Odessa File.
Wiesenthal hoped by manipulating Forsyth's novel that he could actually proceed further with the prosecution of certain Nazi war criminals, who would therefore be exposed in a popular novel.
Many questioned the legitimacy of Odessa. But Wiesenthal claimed that the organization was real.
Wiesenthal seems to have clung to the idea that the Odessa organization existed as a sort of mammoth organization. He first seems to have heard about it from an SS officer.
But there are few documents that mention Odessa by name. And most German officials deny the existence of the highly organized, centrally funded group portrayed in the novel. Yet some facts are beyond dispute. 150,000 Nazis were accused of war crimes, but only 30,000 were ever tried, and even fewer convicted, most immediately after the war. Some of the most evil, like Joseph Mengele and Martin Bormann, were never brought to trial. Most just disappeared, never to be heard from again. Now, Mystery Quest will investigate whether the secret network called Odessa existed. The expedition team will follow the escape route through Austria and into Italy. They'll seek physical evidence of the organization's existence and proof it helped provide the protection, documents, and money to make these escapes possible. The science team will be searching for evidence that not only did Odessa exist, but the German government actively sought to cover up its existence. To do this, They'll investigate a report that claims one high-ranking SS officer's death was faked in order to conceal his escape to South America. Mystery Quest will also examine the theory that rogue elements inside organizations like the Red Cross and the Catholic Church helped Odessa. And they'll investigate the theory that the idea for Odessa traced back to Hitler's most trusted staff members. Perhaps the most notorious SS officer to escape was Dr. Joseph Mengele. Known as Auschwitz's Angel of Death, he killed untold numbers in his horrific medical experiments. The doctor was photographed in South America in the decades after the war ended. But how did he get there? Uki Goni is a journalist. He has spent years tracking the escape routes SS members like Mengele used. The trail has led him to Innsbruck, Austria, where he is examining a file buried in a state archive. The document is a rare written record of Odessa's existence.
We're going to go look for the 1949 data. The persons who was a guide across the Brenner border, seeing Kiefersfelden, the man.
This document is extremely revealing. It confirms the idea that there was an organization at work smuggling Nazis out of Europe. In this case, it involves 4 people in Innsbruck who were smuggling Nazis across the border from Austria into Italy over the Brenner Pass. These are not major people, but at the end of the file, we have the names of the SS people they're working for. All throughout the file, it talks about the organization. There is no name for the organization, but at the very start, at the very opening, we have a document from the year 1969, which says Odessa Organization.
That's 3 years before Wiesenthal went public with the name of the organization. This means the Austrian government was investigating Odessa even before Wiesenthal. The file is filled with information. And towards the end of it, Goni makes another significant find, a map.
What's this? The K-Centrale?
This is where the planes start.
This map, which was actually sent by an informant from Argentina, and he drew a map explaining how the network worked. We know they escaped from Germany. We know they traveled from Italy to Argentina, but the question was, how did they manage to cross the border into Italy without being caught? And the incredible thing is that this map shows us how they were smuggled across the Brenner Pass to Genoa, and even draws a little ship showing how the ship goes to Argentina. So it is a missing link in the whole Odessa question.
And the trail leads to the Tyrol region of Austria.
This file will allow me to do something I've never done before, which is retrace the steps that the Nazis took as they escaped from Austria into Italy.
Mystery Quest is searching locations around the globe for evidence that could prove a secret Nazi organization called Odessa really existed. There is one document that appears to be evidence of the beginnings of Odessa. It is called the Maison Rouge Report. Declassified in 2000, it details a secret meeting that took place on August 10th, 1944. The document tells of a conference between Germany's top industrialists and SS leaders in Strasbourg, France, at a hotel called Maison Rouge.
The Maison Rouge meeting was attended by representatives of the key German industries, and it was presided over by a high-ranking officer from the SS, and talked about what would happen in the future now that Germany was certain to lose the war.
The plan was for the Nazis to regroup and rise again.
The whole emphasis was on economics. Banking and economics, to make the actual bankers and industrialists set up an organization abroad and transfer their funds abroad.
The report detailed the plan to set up companies near sources of hydroelectric power, where high-ranking Nazi officers could hide out and pretend to study water resources while secretly developing weapons to take back power. At least one fugitive SS officer is known to have held just such a position. The infamous Adolf Eichmann. He worked for a hydroelectric company in Argentina after he escaped from Germany.
If you try and track finances to and fro, you come across some very interesting anomalies and instances between Europe and Latin America.
Some believe this meeting was the birthplace of Odessa. But there has always been controversy about whether the meeting ever really happened. Instead, many historians believe top Nazis got away with the help of individual Nazi sympathizers scattered around the world. Still others believe rogue priests in the Catholic Church were responsible.
There were certain priests who were prepared to falsify papers in order to allow certain wanted Nazis to escape from Europe, particularly towards South America.
Historians believe those church members who helped Nazis flee were motivated by their fear of the rise of communism.
Throughout the 30s and the 40s, the church had feared the encroachment of Bolshevism. So the Nazis seemed, of the two evils, to be the better evil.
There are some that believe the power behind Odessa was Hitler's executive staff. Martin Bormann was the Führer's right-hand man.
Martin Bormann was the head of Hitler's chancellery, and therefore he was in charge of the party. It is often said that Bormann actually corrupted Hitler in some way, that his policies became Hitler's policies, though that may be a little far-fetched. He was certainly a very Machiavellian, a very cunning character, and what he wanted, he generally got.
With Russian troops inside the city limits, Bormann tried to escape Berlin on May 1st, 1945. But according to Arthur Axmann, a minor SS official, Bormann was killed in Russian crossfire. Most believe Bormann died on the streets of Berlin.
Well, Arthur Axmann was in the SS. He claimed he saw Bormann's face in the moonlight and recognized it.
But some claim Axmann was lying to cover Bormann's escape. When Allied forces went to look for the body, it was nowhere to be found. Bormann was tried at Nuremberg in absentia, where Axmann testified.
Arthur Axmann, when he told his story at the Nuremberg trial, was laughed out of court, because I think he made 7 alterations to his testimony at that time.
There were immediate allegations Bormann, along with Joseph Mengele, escaped to South America. And for years, sightings were reported. Then in 1972, German construction workers digging a trench in Berlin uncovered the skeletons of two men. They were just 36 feet from where Arthur Oxman claimed to have seen Bormann's dead body. German authorities claimed one was Bormann, and in 1998, they conducted DNA tests to confirm it. There were facts uncovered during the forensic autopsy which point to a cover-up.
Yes, I do believe the skeleton belongs to Martin Bormann. However, I think it had traveled.
Thomas believes the skull was exhumed from Paraguay and reburied in Berlin to hide the fact that Martin Bormann really had survived the war and escaped.
The problem was this. When you come to Bormann's skull, it was encased in red clay. All the other bones in that area were clean with no trace of clay on them.
The red clay is unlike any found in Berlin, but it is similar to the earth found in the Ita region of Paraguay, where Bormann is rumored to have fled. And there were other inconsistencies.
The skeleton were incomplete. Some of the vertebrae were missing. There were several worn teeth which had fillings, not recorded in the original records.
Criminals have been known to move bodies in order to lead investigators away from the evidence at the real crime scene.
Things like this have happened. Bodies have suddenly reappeared in another grave.
But if Bormann didn't die in Berlin, where did he go? Graham Wood is a journalist researching the link between Bormann and Odessa. He begins his hunt with a clue in Asunción, the capital of Paraguay.
Here we have someone claiming that Martin Bormann was in Paraguay and that he died in 1959.
Paraguay's Ministry of Justice contains documents known as the Terror Files. They detail the torture, kidnappings, and corruption committed by former dictator Alfredo Stroessner, a Nazi sympathizer of German descent. Under his rule, hundreds of SS officers may have been granted safe passage into the country.
This is a document dated from the 24th of August in 1961. One of the interesting things about this document is that it brings both Nazi criminals together. It was Mengele and Bormann. Bormann, who was sick with stomach cancer in Asunción, and then, according to this, Mengele, who came to treat him under the name of Don Fritz in 1959.
The document says Mengele was called to Bormann's side.
It says here that Bormann and Mengele were both in an area of Paraguay called Hohenau. They lived on the property of a man named Alban Krug.
But there was little Mengele could do to save Bormann.
In April, they received intelligence that Martin Bormann had died in 1959 in Asunción of stomach cancer, and that soon afterward his body was taken to a cemetery in Ita, Paraguay. If this is true, it's truly shocking.
The presence of Bormann in Paraguay could be proof not only of Odessa, but also of a major cover-up.
There's the mention of a lot of places, a lot of names, and if there was a network of people who were trying to help Mengele and Bormann, we have a pretty good sense from these documents of where we would want to go in Paraguay to find out who they were and where they were.
The town of Hohenau was founded in 1900 by German immigrants, and many here were loyal to the fatherland and sympathetic to the Nazi cause, making it the perfect hiding place for fugitives like Mengele and Bormann. Wood finds a shipping company named Krug, the same as the man alleged to have housed Mengele and Bormann. The owner turns out to be Alban's grandson.
¿Conoce Alban Krug?
Y él era mi abuelo.
Su abuelo.
Sí.
¿Y él todavía está viviendo? ¿O?
No, él falleció hace muchos años.
He's too young to remember Bormann or Mengele,
¿Dónde está?
but tells Wood the farmhouse they stayed in is on the outskirts of town. Wood discovers it off a remote, muddy road. It was sold years ago by the family.
In the archive, we kept seeing the name Alban Krug, and that's his farmhouse right there. Josef Mengele, according to the documents, lived there, and so did Martin Bormann. Mengele, we know, was there for about 15 months, and we can see why he would have come to a place like this. This is the middle of nowhere in southern Paraguay. It was very, very difficult for us to reach here, and no way to find his place unless you really know where you're going.
The map Goni uncovered in Innsbruck has led him to the foot of the Brenner Pass. Nazi war criminals were able to safely flee from Germany into Italy, undetected, using